Gemini, this is a special love tarot reading for you. And I'm doing it because it's Valentine's. Now, it's not time bound, so, it starts somewhere around Valentine's, but it ends when the energies end. So it's a love reading, a special reading for you. What I would say is these Tarot Nusantara, rarely do they give saccharine, sweet love readings. No, they're often dark, almost always very psychological. And if you're looking for a saccharine reading, well, look elsewhere, But I think these are messages you need to have. So, maybe you feel the same way. I hope you do, Gemini. And I hope you get something out of it. Maybe saying joy is too strong, but, I hope you get a lot out of this reading, Gemini. Now, I'll be using probably 2 decks, but out of 3 decks. So the first deck is Tarot Nusantara. The second deck is the Steampunk deck. And the third deck is the Light Visions Tarot. Tarot Nusantara is actually a new one to me, which I love. Whereas the Light Visions, I've struggled with as a result of the rendering. Although I think I'll grow into it, I will keep using it and coming back to it. You can see on all of them, I'm using quite a lot of salt, and that's to clear the energy and the spirits from them. Something that I do fairly regularly with my tarot. And I also, you'll see a number of Jimat there that I use just to bring a good energy to the tarot and to my reading. And I call on the Aurora Keydle to assist me in shuffling the cards, in selecting the correct cards and interpret them for Gemini's love reading for Valentines. Gemini. I could understand all of this if it wasn't a love reading. Well, even as a love reading, yeah. These Nusantara haven't betrayed me. There are some darknesses and problems here for sure. We've got the King of Cups running through the whole thing. King of Love, really. So it is about love. Very loving king. Emotional king. Sort of person that people look up to, come to. Empathetic sort of person. That runs through the whole thing. And in your recent past, we have the 8 of Swords, which is you blocking something off, self-restrictions. We now have the 7 of Swords, which is a card of betrayal. And then in the future we have the 2 of Swords, you unable to make up your mind about something. Now we've gone from an 8 to a 2. That is concerning. The energy impacting on the outcome is the King of Pentacles, entrepreneurial, maybe suggesting you have money. Maybe that's the reason why some of this happens. Maybe people use you in love for your money. What would prevent the outcome is the 8 of Wands. That's you having a firm direction, knowing where you're going and why. And the outcome, I don't associate it as being a bad outcome. It's the Queen of Swords. But what I think it's meaning here is that you need to set boundaries. You need to set boundaries within your love life. I think that's what it's telling us. Let's look at each card individually though. So the energy running through this whole thing is the King of Cups. It is the King of Love, but it's also a king that's very emotionally balanced. King that's in control of his emotions, a king that's compassionate, empathetic and diplomatic. Now that, I believe, is you. in control of things, calm, balanced. But I think maybe people misinterpret it for weakness. You look at the card, he's sitting on his throne, but on the sea. Does that suggest a vulnerability? Does it? Got a cup in his hand, that's love, but he's got his staff, which is power. So I think people just see the cup. They don't see they don't see your power. I think people take advantage of you. And I think that's what's running through this entire reading. And now we have the Eight of Swords, which is sort of self-imposed restrictions. You're not doing things because of you don't feel you can. And one of the reasons you don't feel you can is you're unaware. You're unaware of what you can do. You don't have the full picture, and to a certain degree you know that. So you're aware of what you're unaware of, if you like. You look at the card, and there are the 8 swords there, which are a barrier, but she's got a blindfold on, so she doesn't know. Now the tide might be coming in, or it might be going out. If it's going out, it's not a problem. If it's coming in, maybe she'll drown if she doesn't take the blindfold off. And if you look up on the top of the cliff there, there's a beautiful village that she could get to, safety as it were. Now that's the past, but it's suggesting to me in the past you imposed restrictions on yourself. Maybe these were boundaries. Maybe not as healthy as they might be, but maybe they were boundaries. Yeah. And we go down from the 8 to the 7 of Swords. Now this is the card of deception. Somebody is deceiving you, and given that the whole thing's about love, I think it's a lover is deceiving you. Now they might not get away with it. You might see through it. Remember, you're emotionally balanced, you're emotionally in control. Maybe you know what they're doing, and you're a bit like me. You're hoping that by being compassionate you'll make a better person out of them, but it never works, does it? No, they're seeing it as weakness and trying to get away with something. But look at him. He's looking round. He knows he's done wrong, so you might catch him out, or he might even have a change of heart. Maybe. But I think it does give you a dilemma. I think you do know what's happening, and it does give you something of a dilemma. And in the future we have the 2 of Swords, which means that you've got a problem and you don't know what to do. And you don't know what to do because in part you don't have all the information. If you look at the card, he's blindfolded, so how would he know? There's a moon in the sky, which suggests there's stuff you don't know. He's got a sword in each hand and they look identical, so maybe it's one of those that you just find it too difficult to choose. And you know, there are some things, if you look on this channel, you'll see I do these pendulum shorts, you know, yes or no answers. And I'm not saying resort to the pendulum if you can work out the answer, but if you can't, at times it's just better to go with something like that. Put your hand in fate and go with it, because if you're stymied, it's not getting you anywhere. Now, I'm pretty certain this decision is to do with a betrayal. So is it do I confront them, or do I finish with this person who I think you're romantically tied to but has betrayed you? Yeah. Now the energy impacting on the outcome is another king. So we're getting a few kings in this. There's a queen later as well. So major arcana, these are big events. And this is an entrepreneurial king, a king of wealth, a king who's a mover and shaker, gets things done, but particularly in terms of wealth, particularly in terms of finances. You look at him, he's sitting very strong there on his throne. He's got a pentacle in his hand, which does signify wealth. He's got the orb signifying his power, in a beautiful garden. Looks to be a beautiful landscape there as well, dressed wonderfully. A bull behind his head, because this is meant to be for the Taraja people of central Sulawesi, and they slaughter oxen during funerals. Yeah. You've been betrayed because of your wealth. You've been betrayed. People, somebody who you think loves you, loves your money. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. Now you could avoid the outcome by the energy of the Eight of Wands. This is you getting a very firm direction, moving very quickly. Firm direction, moving quickly, decisively. So this could be you know, if you're betrayed, you moving very quickly and saying, hang on a minute, you've done this. Now, it needn't necessarily be saying, and therefore I finish with you, or therefore this. It might be simply you pointing out, oi, you're not getting away with this with me. And they change their ways as a result. But maybe not. You have to follow through with these things, so if they don't change their ways, you do need to be prepared to finish with them. But I think you could have come down quicker on the situation than you did, and maybe things wouldn't turn out so bad. But we really don't know, because I don't see the outcome as a bad outcome. See, the outcome is the Queen of Swords. Now, she's a no-nonsense queen. She's a queen that people love. She's firm but fair. But she's a queen who sets boundaries. And I think that's what this is all about. You learning the lessons that people will abuse your open heart, your generosity. People who you love will take you for a ride because they think you're weak and you need to set boundaries. And so I don't see it as a bad outcome. It's just you learning a lesson of life. You look at her, she's got the sword up there. That's the boundary. You need to set these firm boundaries on people, or you will get taken for a ride. That's what it's all about. That's what's happening here. So it's not a bad outcome. Let's get a bit of clarity in case I've taken this too far. And I seek clarity on this Two of Swords, this unable to take a decision. Why are you unable to take a decision? First of all, the Eight of Swords, you don't have the full information. Eight of Swords again, of course. You're restricting yourself. You don't feel you've got all the information. The second card is the Death card, which is, I think, you calling a halt to this relationship. And the final card is the Ten of Wands. You could continue with this relationship, carrying the burden of it, but it's going to finish anyway. So there's no decision to take here, really, is there? Because the universe is going to do it for you. Let's look at each card individually. So yeah, we've got the Eight of Swords again, self-imposed restrictions, the unknown, not knowing what to do. And you're not knowing what to do because you don't have the full information quite on how they've cheated you. To a certain degree, you don't want to believe it. You want to see the best in everyone, don't you? You lovely person, Gemini, but unfortunately you're being taken for a ride. Yeah, you want to see the best in everyone, I know. And the next card is the Death card, which means endings, which is saying that you really ought to end this relationship. You really ought to put an end to it. You have found them out. You do know in your heart of hearts you found them out. You realise they don't love you. They want your money. What on earth is holding you up just to end a relationship? That's the advice you've been given. You look at the card, well, you know, it's death. There's no point in looking at the card. It's the Death card. It's an ending. You're being told by the universe to end it. But, you know, to a certain degree, it doesn't matter if you end it or not, because we've now got the Ten of Wands, which means an ending is coming. So, you know, you can try and struggle on with this relationship and carry the burden. You look at her, she's got all those wands on her back, carrying the burden of those wands. But an end is in sight anyway. The end is it's going to end whatever. The universe will end it for you because she's walking through the night, and sure as hell the night ends with daybreak. And that's what's going to happen to your relationship. So it doesn't really matter if you take control and end it, or the universe does it for you. Chances are it won't be as painful as if you do it yourself. So Gemini, an interesting but not a happy reading, I'm sorry. It is about love, but more than anything, it's about you. You're in control of your emotions, you're very empathetic, but you see the best in people. You think you can change people, and people abuse you as a result. You sort of set restrictions, but you don't set the right boundaries. The restrictions are more on you than on other people. And yeah, people take advantage of you, particularly in love. Why do they take advantage of you? Well, I think you're quite an entrepreneur. They want your money. They don't want you. It's not very nice finding that out, is it? You don't want to believe it, in fact. You don't want to believe that that's the case. If you could believe that was the case and act fast, then things might be better for you. But you're not that sort of person. You want to see the best in everyone. You're sort of blinkering yourself. You're sort of closing your eyes. But, you know, this time you really do know it's happened. You do know you've been taken advantage of. What you should do is end the relationship here and now. Just end it. But if you don't, the universe is going to intervene and it'll end it for you. But you'll struggle on for a little while longer. You'll struggle on, so it won't be happy. It won't be joyous. You'll struggle on. But in the end, the relationship will end anyway. So the universe is telling you, you really ought to end it yourself. But if not, I'm going to do it for you. I'm going to do it for you because this isn't a good relationship. And, you know, of course, the whole thing is about you learning. The whole thing is about learning. Yes, you're an empath. Don't suddenly become hard. Don't suddenly change your ways. You don't need to do that. But you've been restricting yourself when really you need to put boundaries there for other people. And, you know, the best sort of boundaries are mental boundaries. You know, people who are mentally strong, they don't need to say, don't do that to me. People just wouldn't dream of doing it. And this reading is about you learning to become that person. You learning to set boundaries. You learning to be firm but fair. And really, you know, Gemini, that's what compassion's about. You think you're compassionate. You think you're empathetic. But if you were really compassionate, you wouldn't allow people to think they can get away with the things that they try on you. Because if they don't think they can do it, then they don't raise their hopes, and they can maybe even have a decent relationship with you. I don't know. But it's about you learning this lesson. And it's quite a hard lesson, Gemini. It's a lesson at 63 years of age. I'm still learning. And I think many of us empaths are like that, Gemini. It's a hard lesson, but, you know, it's life, Gemini, and it's one you've got to learn and you've got to deal with. Well, I do hope you've enjoyed Tarot from Java as an addition to my channel, The Magic of Java. Please take a look at the other videos that I have on this channel about magic from Java, and I hope that you will become a subscriber. Now, if you want to hear your next tarot reading, hit the button, and that will inform you of when I publish new readings. I'm certainly going to do a reading for every month, but maybe I will try them a bit more frequently, say a mid-month reading, and maybe also some special readings. But above all, thank you so much for listening to me. Thank you, and enjoy Java.